Canada, what happened to us? Seriously now, what happened to us? The more I think about this election coming up on April 28th, the more I'm a little bit disturbed about where some Canadians are going with this and why we really need to refocus on being ourselves again. Why we really need to refocus on being Canada again. Because we're not Canada right now. And when I look at the Liberal Party's campaign, and I think about things to talk about here on Bakes on Things and especially our daily show. What really concerns me is that they're actually driving this entire campaign on a globalist model, a World Economic Forum model, a way to continue to push us away from who we've always been as a country. This is the worst time we've ever been in when it comes to our own independence, our own sovereignty, and it's not Donald Trump. Part of it is nobody's denying that. He's just shining a light on a problem that was brewing a long time ago, up to I don't know, the last decade ago. This problem has been going on for a long time. So, welcome to Bakes on Things Daily. We're going to talk again. I know a second episode in the same day. It keeps happening, but it's just where we're sitting right now, Canada. So let's get this started. First, if you haven't subscribed, liked, and commented on videos, first of all, thank you for those who have been doing that. I've been trying to reply to as many as I can because I really appreciate the time you're taking to comment on these. But thank you for that. If you haven't done it yet, please do. And let's get started. Let's talk about this. So, my fellow Canadians, here we sit. Our beloved nation stands at what I would call a very pivotal crossroads. See, for the past decade under Liberal rule, we've witnessed a very troubling shift. A shift away from the values that have long defined this country: sovereignty, self-reliance, and a commitment to the being of our well-being, I should say, of our citizens. Instead, we've seen our leadership cozy up to globalist institutions like the World Economic Forum. Mark Carney's the worst for this. We've seen them prioritizing international agendas over the pressing needs of actual Canadians here at home. And as we approach this federal election on April 28th, it's so imperative that we take a hard look at the path we've been led down and consider the alternative to that path, a path that promises to restore Canada's sovereignty, economic strength, and its national pride, because I'm telling you, it's missing. The Liberal Party's globalist entanglements under Prime Minister Mark Carney, this entanglement with globalist agendas has actually deepened. Even though it appears he's defending Canada, he's defending against Donald Trump, blah, blah, blah. Carney, a former central banker with deep ties to international financial institutions, has been a regular participant at World Economic Forum gatherings in Davos, rubbing elbows with the global elite constantly. The World Economic Forum, known for advocating policies that often prioritize global integration over national interests, has found a very receptive partner in Mark Carney. His attendance at these forums is not just symbolic, folks. It's indicative of a leadership that places international acclaim above all else and above your domestic welfare. But the Conservative Party of Canada is the alternative to that. Now, economic policies favoring global interests over Canadians are really the huge problem here. The economic policies championed by the Liberals over the past decade have mirrored the World Economic Forum's globalist vision for the entire decade they've been in power, sometimes to the detriment of Canadian workers and industries themselves. For example, the implementation of the carbon tax, which we know we all hate and we know has been reduced to zero supposedly right now, is a policy that's lauded by international bodies, but it has placed undue financial strain and hardship on Canadian families from coast to coast, including businesses. While the intention behind these carbon taxes is to combat climate change, which is a goal I think we all support overall, the execution has disproportionately impacted lower income Canadians and sectors like agriculture and manufacturing, which are vital to our economy. Now, think about this. The Liberals' commitment to international trade agreements has, at times, compromised our economic sovereignty. And this is where we stand right now with Donald Trump. Economic sovereignty is at risk, and I'd say it's more at risk with the Liberals. The recent imposition of a 25% tariff on Canadian automobiles by the US is a glaring example. Why did he back down and like Mark Carney? Instead of fortifying our domestic industries to withstand such external pressures, the Liberal government actually has been reactive, scrambling to address crises rather than proactively safeguarding Canadian interests against these crises that are now affecting us over the last 10 years. And this is really the biggest key here. There is erosion of national sovereignty that isn't just happening because of Donald Trump. He is the end means to the problem that's been building over the last decade. So, beyond economics, there's been a subtle yet significant erosion of our national sovereignty overall over the last decade. Policies influenced by globalist agendas that have led to increased foreign ownership in critical sectors, raising concerns that Canada's ability to control its own resources and industries has been compromised. Additionally, the push for open borders and increased immigration quotas, especially this whole 100 million by whenever thing, while beneficial in fostering diversity, which Canada already has sometimes outpaced our infrastructure's capacity to integrate newcomers effectively. Look at the housing market. It's led to huge strains on the housing market, healthcare, and social services. And yet, there's still a vision for this giant increase in all of this immigration. So, what's the conservative vision that's really starting to affect Canadians, and why there's 5,000 people are going out to Pierre's rallies? Well, Pierre Poilievre offers a vision that seeks to reclaim and rejuvenate Canada's foundational values. His Canada First approach is not about isolationism, but prioritizing the needs and aspirations of Canadians in policymaking. It's about reversing back to the Canada we always used to be. It's not about attacking liberals per se, especially the people in Canada who are liberals. It's about even benefiting them as well. See, Poilievre proposes significant tax reforms. These reforms are clearly aimed at stimulating economic growth and providing relief to Canadians, not to hurt you further. And notably, he actually plans to reduce the lowest income tax bracket from 15% to 12.75%. And that's going to ensure that hardworking Canadians retain more of their earnings, which has been a struggle for us in Canada for the last decade. And this move is designed to invigorate consumer spending and bolster the middle class at the same time, which has been the backbone of our nation's prosperity for decades. And the other thing that they're bringing to the forefront that we need to talk about is the energy independence that, again, Liberal leader Pierre or Mark Carney actually said he wasn't going to repeal Bill C-69. But recognizing that the strategic importance of energy independence is key, Poilievre advocates for the creation of a national energy corridor. Now, this initiative aims to streamline the development of key energy infrastructure projects, facilitating the efficient transport of oil, gas, and electricity across all provinces and to be shipped elsewhere, reducing our reliance on the US. Now, by harnessing and optimizing our abundant natural resources like this, Canada can reduce its reliance on foreign energy sources coming in as well. It also creates jobs, and it allows us to assert greater control over our own energy future. Now, this weird Soviet style housing plan that the Liberals came up with is another thing we really need to address here, because the Conservatives address this in a much better way. They address the housing crisis that has plagued many Canadian cities, and Poilievre plans to eliminate the goods and services tax on new home purchases under 1.3 million But what's key here is for him, that's every new home purchase for anyone, not just new home buyers like the Liberals propose. This policy is designed to make home ownership more attainable for Canadians, particularly young families and first time home buyers, even though it's not restricted to them, thereby fostering community stability and personal investment in our own nation's future. Again, our own nation. National sovereignty, folks. Coming back to being Canada on our own 2 feet. This is the key message here. Beyond his economic measures, Poilievre has been emphasizing the importance of national sovereignty. His platform actually fights Donald Trump and includes plans to bolster defense spending, to ensure that Canadians can independently safeguard their borders and contribute meaningfully rather to global security overall without over reliance on foreign alliances that we have to support us. And furthermore, he advocates for a balanced immigration policy, not 100 million. This is just crazy, right? But he still welcomes newcomers while ensuring the integration processes are robust and that infrastructure can actually support that population growth. So here's a call to action for Canada. It's a big call to action. It's one we cannot afford to ignore anymore. We've lost our way and we're starting to follow, or the polls say we're following a party that continues to make that happen. Canadians must reflect deeply on the direction you wish this nation to take. Do we continue down a path where our policies are increasingly influenced by globalist agendas, print money endlessly, and spend, often at the expense of our own national interests? Or do we choose a path that reaffirms our sovereignty, prioritizes the well-being of our citizens, and restores the promise of Canada? A nation that stands proud, that stands independent, and that stands prosperous on its own. The reality is the choice is yours. You must get out and vote. And the only way to make this count is to vote. I appreciate you watching these videos. I appreciate you liking and commenting. It is so important that you do. It's so important that you share these messages. Even if it's not mine, you share your own messages. Go for it. That's what we need to do. Together, we need to reclaim Canada's promise. And I know Pierre talks about Canada's promise all the time, but this is our future, our sovereignty. It's our Canada. Thanks for watching.